What does it mean to actually take a fast from the internet? That's what we're going to be asking ourselves today. To step back from the internet for, say, a prolonged period of time. It's something that I'm actually considering at the end of the month. One of the things that I've had, and it's really important to have the internet when you have issues like a car breaking down or not a lot of allies locally, it helps. It helps build morale. I'm not totally isolated if I'm making videos and then getting them to you right away. But things aren't great economically. But, thanks to some of the donations and the Patreon, even though the YouTube income has pretty much sucked, there are those of you that have helped because I have continued to make videos. So I'm actually thinking about, doing this as an example and then demonstrating someone making videos off the grid. Granted, my car works, so I think there's going to be some money that may need to be allocated to AAA. But I'm looking at the value of an internet fast on myself and how it would actually help me create more content, not less. See, I care about talking about geopolitics and things like China, but I want to stay strong in this period of my life. And I can see how certain topics and even being consumed by certain fears, and sometimes we can really be taken aback when we come across certain articles that we consider to be threatening to ourselves. And I know how that's affected me this week when we're affected by that fear from certain things that they put out there. Even Alex Jones himself was talking about a false flag late March. He's actually pointing the finger at jihadis. But see, we get amped up with all this fear, whether we're buying, right, the story, or whether we're being afraid of what the intelligence agencies are doing or what the government's doing, and we may forget to be in our own power. That's what I mean. And see, by stepping back from some of that extra stimuli, we could be helping ourselves stay strong, stay sharp, thinking in a more positive manner, instead of being affected by the media on social media and the news. And it's addictive. It takes an extremely disciplined person to not look at that stuff for hours and hours and hours. And last night I was watching videos that were humorous, and I'll probably watch some videos tonight, but I'm spending most of this day, after yesterday being online, when it was looking like it was on the verge of snowing, and today we have a day of, well, we have a sky that clear. And there's going to be more periods like that in the summer season. There's still the days of geomagnetic or geoengineering, and there's still periods of rain. But I'm going to be writing more, maybe reading more, and stepping back from the internet. If you were to do the same thing, it doesn't mean that you don't watch anything. Kind of like if you're going to go on a diet, doesn't mean that you're going to be starving yourself. I was going to be using some analogies with regards to like a water fast. There's a water fast and a juice fast, or maybe you're just going to cut back on meat and go vegetarian, or some people go the extra mile and they go vegan, to step back from something that their body may have been addicted to, or some people go off the grid completely and never even get themselves an internet connection because they want to go off the grid. They don't want to have all that political energy, social media energy in particular. Now, some people, and they've made it to where Facebook will tell you what you want to hear, whatever that is. It might also piss you off too, by flooding your feed with stuff that's disinformation, especially stuff that's going to go against your core values or the ethics that you may have. There's things that have been put out there in recent years that I've seen that go against a loving, happy society and all about the illusions of separation. So in that way, I'm not being programmed by it. I'm being angered by seeing that it's out there, that people are being socially engineered, and then seeing the actual social engineering itself. It just makes me angry. And see, when I'm in that state of mind and in a reactive mind, that I'm not constantly moving forward with positivity because I'm responding to that ickiness. And it's like, maybe to a certain degree, we should be in a bubble of positivity or focused momentum and not be dealing with that level of darkness, where we wake up and then, our day is being determined by the narrative of that day, by repeating the talking points of those that are political peers or fighting against the disinformation that's being put out on a daily basis. And it's like, how many days? I think about where I was last year this time. What was I doing? Well, I was making an extra $500 a month, so I had economic stability, working for a website that I really didn't like. And now I lost that website, but thanks to support that's come in, and please consider signing up to Patreon. The more people that sign up, the more podcasts that I'll be putting out on that particular medium, expanding on certain things that I bring up here on YouTube. But it's like, this is a time where it feels like I'm living like a monk, not a perfect monk, but like living without certain material things, but actually improving as a human being by being a survivor. Whereas other people might think it might be being a victim by sharing you my survival stories, that's a way to invert what it is that I'm doing. And by sharing with you the things that I've survived and how it's strengthening me as a human being, and I'm using these things that I've survived to make myself stronger, I know that I'm helping a part of this audience. And so, taking a few months off of the internet will require a working car. That's provided some challenges for me. It's provided some challenges for me in the last few months, in the last year, and that's taking a real roll of the die. So AAA, for example, I think costs $150 when that money is there. When I'm able to afford it, I'm going to get AAA, and as long as the car is working, right, drive into town and do the normal routine that I've been doing, getting the exercise, maybe even putting on those running shoes that a friend sent, and starting to run here and there, in addition to the other things that I'm doing, videos by the river, but uploading at the library instead of being online at home. You know, it's not just about writing and making videos. It's the idea of, what if there was only so much time to absorb some knowledge from a book? And even though that's not actually the case, we only live so long in this lifetime. And we should be using our time mindfully and reading and consuming things that get us to think, that actually in reality helps us improve memory-wise. I mean, it's great to unplug and binge watch a series of videos that help us escape from something traumatic. In that sense and in that dosage, and depending on what you're watching, it can be therapeutic. There's a fine line between a therapeutic unplugging from reality and watching something funny on YouTube or a funny movie and becoming zombified, and thus also becoming angry and argumentative and of negative emotional states by being on social media. And by learning that these actual social media devices cell phones and the instantaneous connection to the world, and I think that would be one of the damaging things to cell phones next to the technology itself, it's rewiring ourselves. So we're responsible once we learn about these things, and you don't have to be like 100%, you know, like I was talking about in a recent video, from going off grid to going camping to taking time off your work to stepping away from the internet to immersing yourself in nature, knowing your own truth, to writing your own story. What if you were the one to write the story as to what happened here? There's some elk running that are just now running that were still before. I must be a little bit concerned because I'm moving. But what if you only had so much time to tell somebody on another planet what happened here on Earth? What if you were to be interviewed from your perspective and you were, well, I don't really know, but where would you start looking? I'd hope that you wouldn't start looking in the direction of Infowars.com or Rinse.com, but start to do your own research. Okay, what is the New World Order? What is the One World Government? How did China become this powerful technologically when we know where they were a century ago and 50 years ago, and who helped them? Knowing that we're under attack, we talk about consciousness beyond chemtrails, what does it mean to actually be positive, to engage in positive thinking? What does it actually mean to you to be grounded? How do you ground? Do you know how to meditate? Or to be in a state of moving meditation? You know, have you explored how strong your body can be? How disciplined your mind can be? Do you know how long you can go without food? Do you know how long you can go without conversation, sex, coffee, marijuana, the internet, civilization, society? How many days? How many days can you go without power? How many days can I? See, the answer varies for both you and I, but it's something to check ourselves with. It's a personal inventory. But this is ultimately why it's a bigger question: should I delete my Facebook? The bigger question is, should I or should we be taking more time off the internet? And when we are on the internet, to be more mindful with the things that we're doing on the internet and with those that we're engaging with. Because there's a big shift in consciousness happening right now. And through the engagement on social media and on the internet, and through the types of videos people are making, we're seeing some horrific behaviors from people. And as we start to try to quarantine ourselves from some of those spiritual parasite influences, we start looking at where some of those spiritual parasite influences might happen to be. Some of them are places on the earth, so we can move away from those places. But see, some of the dark influences, including being possessed by fear, being overtaken by the spirit of fear, we can find some of those influences on the internet almost leaping out of the screen at us, right? So we have to check ourselves from being too alarmed, even if some of those threats are real. We start looking at, the power of thought, the power of connection, the power of non-local awareness. You think about someone and then they're texting you, or they're interacting with you, or in the case of here, as I get to know a few people, some of the people I may come across, there may be that sense of micro law of attraction. I noticed this in Portland, Oregon, where, for years would go by and I would never know someone and they would never know me, yet we would still keep crossing each other as strangers, yet energetically seemingly not strangers, and that we would keep bumping into each other, walking around corners or somewhere on Hawthorne or something that manner. And I would just wonder myself, what is the purpose of that? But in just so many different ways, I've seen the power of connection. I've seen that power of collective thought. I've seen that power of synchronicity. I've seen the power of miracles, where things have jumped in my path and people that were there for me, and it didn't come from Facebook. It didn't come from the internet. And there's a real powerful connection that I do have with my audience on the internet, but that's only one element of the connection that I have with the universe, or that the universe has with me. So yeah, some of those things I'm going to be exploring during a brief fast, if you will, off the internet. And see, fasts don't have to be totally extreme to where you don't watch movies. You can go to the library and download things. You can download even, and convert to MP3. Anything from anything that you want on YouTube. By going to online converter, videoconverter.com. So there's all these motivational speeches, or things you can be listening to, or albums, or other YouTube videos, or news reports, and not even have to deal with the actual experience of watching the ads. Or you can download the videos yourself and consume content, learn about things, watch courses, things of that nature, things that empower your mind without actually being on the internet. And so also keep in mind, for people that are in libraries and urban environments, they're in a stronger electromagnetic pool of information or energy. Unnatural electromagnetic energy, which causes health problems. And this is mainstream science. So by being free of that energy, it's cleaner. It's a cleaner experience when someone downloads a video and just watches it and kicks back and doesn't have all that other stimuli or artificial energy. I do sense something different when you're online versus offline. And for those of you that also deal with issues like ringing in the ears or things of that nature, sometimes some of that stuff may be activating based on the videos that you're watching or some of the websites that you're visiting. So see what it's like and if it's minimized when you unplug the internet. And of course, this also includes not having other devices in the household. There's a reason I don't have a cell phone, folks, but I'm here to tell you that it's more than just going off grid. You got to get away from some of the influences that can just leap across from you through the computer screen. So yeah, I'm going to be looking at internet fasting. Just like with fasting from food, it's not necessarily about being perfect, but cutting out certain things and then testing out the results. If someone has a certain type of infection, they may need to remove a certain type of food or something from their diet. From the tooth infection, now that's mediated and my lungs health, overall health is better. But ever since then, I stopped consuming the type of soda that I fell back in the habit of consuming. Just because it was cane sugar and not artificial sweetener or corn syrup didn't make it better. The lack of brushing still allowed the infection to go to the next level to where there was extreme pain. But the actual infection was probably ongoing. The thing is, sometimes there needs to be a wake-up within the mind, body, and spirit in order to change something about our way of life. And in the end, when we change that thing, we're overall healthier. And it's like a positive, It's like we're either getting healthier or we're getting sicker, and I've said this for years. So we're either walking up, right, the flight of stairs, or we're falling down. Many people right now are cognitively, through their social media addiction, they're falling down. And not something like somewhat cool like the Michael Douglas movie. They're falling down. And I'm someone that's trying to take steps upward and move my content forward and in a more truthful direction than my peers in the quote-unquote alternative media. So we will continue another time. I'm Alex Ansary signing off from somewhere out there, reminding you the path to the ultimate truth and place of power still lies within.